When I entered the room and looked around the door closed behind her as she walked towards the bed, she hesitated to touch anything as she got angry over small things. She sat down while looking at the luxurious room. She wasn't a poor girl, but this room was very luxurious. She was in front of that. She looked at the portrait and it was beautiful. She was about to touch it, but suddenly he entered. He threw his coat on the couch and sat down on the bed while she was still standing. He took off his shoes and without uttering anything, he lay down. She looked at him and it was an arranged marriage. They both hadn't met before. It was obvious that he didn't like her, but she also didn't love him because he was totally stranger to her. You don't want to marry me? Yes. Then why don't you tell your parents? Of course they forced me. So my parents also forced you. I wasn't. She stopped it. I didn't even know you before. Well, don't accept from me become a Beverly husband. He turned and I don't care and thought this and also later while the facts were facing each other. She assumed that her marriage would be a happy marriage, but it was her face and she also didn't want to leave him so earlier. She wanted to see if he was that bad or not. He slept that he didn't care about anyone. The next day she was feeling so awkward in sitting in his big mansion in the middle of the garden with his family. They all looked so luxurious. She was just staring at them without saying a word. She was hesitant to speak in between them. She didn't want to get embarrassed. He was sitting beside her, was smiling and talking with his friends and cousins. Suddenly, one of his cousins be complimented when one smile further. She realized that he didn't like it. She looked down. She was very beautiful and Jungkook knew about his friends and cousins. She knew about their sergeant. He didn't like it. He looked at one with his cold eyes and gave her a cold look. He turned his face and she said they were staring down, but it was not new because he was always like that. After breakfast, she was sitting in her room while looking at her dress. It became hard to live in that house. Even on the first day, she started to miss her family but couldn't go to meet them because they were so far from her. She started to feel complex. The man was so strange. She didn't want to talk with any of the family members except Mrs. Joy. At night, he came back in the middle of night. She was sleeping. He walked towards her and looked at her. She is really beautiful. He thought when she touched her face and she opened her eyes. She was shocked to see him in front of her. He sat down beside her and he looked at her. You know what? My first priority will always be my work and money. I have grace to become more than my forefathers. I wasn't interested in marrying. I know we should live like this. She was staring at him and his was going over her head. He took off his coat and gently laid down beside her. She was about to go to the other side, but he pulled her towards him and her heartbeat increased. He hugged her from back and she could hear her heartbeat and he also also. 1 week later, while his paper was okay and he didn't speak too much, his eyes were enough for her to understand everything. He didn't shout at her or hurt her. He came at her back and slept. He didn't let anyone to hurt her. She was sitting in her room thinking about him. He's in a bad boy. Why were people screaming about her? He's cold but not bad. She got up while thinking about him. He was at his office room and he decided to go there. She started walking with him. She started to talking with him, but too much as he spoke too much less. She stopped in front of the office room as she heard a girl's voice. So you married her for her beauty because I know you don't love her. You will use her and then leave her like you left me. You are such an arrogant man who doesn't care about others. But you see that she has nothing except beauty. At least I have this status which matches with yours. Suddenly that girl opened the door to go out, but the boy and Junk was sitting on the chair. He looked at her. Tears were falling as he got up after seeing her. What are you doing? Her trying to listen to our conversation. We said, I just came here to talk to him. What do you mean by tell me, John? Millie, don't talk to her like that. He said, what's so special about her, Jungkook? You're doing so much wrong. She's just staring at her. John was staring at both of them. Fine, you can come. She entered Millie angry, walked over, banging the door. He ignored her. No, I don't hate her. I don't take her words seriously because she has gone crazy. You know her like me. I don't concentrate on her words. It's not the reason because if I want to like her, then no one can stop me. But I don't want to. That's why I married you. She nodded and hugged him, which was new for him, but he didn't stop her. At night, she was saying that she would use me. He looked at her and they both were sitting on the bed. He just stayed up without saying a word. Why are you staring at me? Tell me. Then what should I do? Really? He nodded. Then tell me one more thing. Why do rich people always someone in their lives before marriage? And you said you loved someone, you loved your work, then he didn't want to marry. I never thought of marrying her. When I was dating, I got engaged, but my family broke it. But she didn't move on. 1 month later, she went out with him for the first time. She was sitting confidently, and then she saw a beautiful lady who was sitting in front of her. Beautiful baby. Man was staring at the baby steadily. Whom are you looking at? He said while looking at the man. He thought she was staring at the man who had a charming personality. Your baby is cute, but why did you think nothing? Did you think I was looking at the man? He was thinking about how she knew. I know you had a possessive personality, am I right? He didn't know what to react. After that, they lived like that. 2 months passed and he came to the business party. Millie was also there. He was going ignoring her as he didn't care about her. He was talking with someone But suddenly she walked towards him. He looked at her. What are you talking about? He ignored her. It's none of your business. Oh, really? Because she belongs to that and she looks like, and I'm allowed to use that, but she everyone loves and started looking at him. She felt insulted as she used that type of words for his was waiting between so many men. He smiled casually and said those words. Don't try to be over smart in front of me. I will cut your tongue. He walked out of the bus. She was standing in disbelief. He couldn't bear her words against his wife. Nobody knew about one. He couldn't want to tell anyone because he knew the people very well. He came back and one was waiting for him. He was in so much anger because of Millie. He sat down on the couch while taking off his shoes. She got up to walk towards him, but he looked at her. I don't want to wear anything, so go and sleep because I'm not in a good mood. His voice was cold and nasty. She stepped back, and that was the first time he reacted like that. Why not agree? But when I don't, said don't come close to me. Don't you understand? Go away from me, she said, and she laid back, and my tears formed her eyes. Don't try to diss him again. I said, I'm not in a good mood, you have to understand. Rather than becoming crazy. The next day he came out of the bathroom and she was sitting there while lowering her head. He looked at her and walked towards her. She was slacking the logger. He stood behind her, put his hands on her shoulder. What are you doing? I'm looking for what to wear. Are you mad at me? He asked. No. Then why are you not looking at me? Because I'm looking for the locker. He grabbed her face and she looked up. Her eyes was fallen and she looked like she hadn't slept last night. Why did you cry so much? I mean, so important for you. I thought that you would ignore my words. I don't know that. You are so sensitive. She was hugging him and he was patting her back. His anger always took over him. He couldn't have control of anger. I told him, I have something for you. He took the box out of his pocket and looked, I bought anything for you. She looked at them and they were so beautiful. She grabbed them and smiled. That was the first thing we had together with his wearing himself for my beautiful wife. She smiled at night. Jungkook man was sitting and came to the dinner as his cousin saw she was looking so beautiful. Everyone was taking, but suddenly, guys, my special guest has arrived. He said, and Hongsu came. Jungkook smiled. Felt they both had conflict over business. He came and sat down. Why did I know about him? Well, why is this behavior well with for you? Is his behavior because he's not good for a woman. He always tries to put down others as his first hobby. You deserve better. Shut up, don't tell her what she deserves. Look at yourself. You haven't got a wife because everyone knows you don't deserve love. I will give you everything including love which he can't give you because he then Jungkook got him and hit and everything else including when she was ready to show she was already shocked to hearing his words. How dare you speak to my wife like this? He pointed him and they both started fighting. His cousins and were trying to stop them. Don't challenge me, I'll do everything just to put you down. It's not hard for me to get. And then Jungkook again got angry and they both like they were going. Siwan was trying to stop and they were trying to Hongsu was to, but then she looked at Siwan and he stopped and she walked towards Jungkook. Then he entered the room like a storm and it was hard for him to bear Hongsu's words for. When he threw his things out of anger, one was so scared and was trying to calm him down. He looked at her with eyes of angry eyes and disappointed because of his shit and should have bring you with me. Just stay away from me, go away, I don't come in. He was shouting and she was crying, was standing there. Chunky knew that he Hongsu would try to do something engagement. He wasn't afraid of me as they both had the same power. He looked at her and covered her face. I realized that she shouted at her. She didn't want to leave him in any condition. She hugged him again. He was trying to scare her. After that, everything sorted out between them and Hongsu didn't try to do anything wrong. He and Wan were happy. And after some months, he and gave birth, and now we was so happy. Everything was so happy except for Millie and Hongsu. One Jungkook was holding his son while I was lying on his condition was not good, and he was so worried about her. He said, "Do not touch her face." She opened her eyes. Do you still have pain?" And she nodded. While on the other hand, she gave birth to a boy. You can do everything normal now. He has his weakness. You are right. I was waiting for this day so I can get married. When she smiled, you promised me that you would perform my wish. I remembered it. He said, staring at the ceiling. His mind went back to the time. Flashback man was coming out of the hospital and Hongsu was looking at her body sitting in the car. She came with the cars and maids because Jungkook was out of the country. He was staring at her. She was about to fall. He came. He went immediately and after she looked at him and stepped back as she didn't like him. Because of Jungkook, don't have to be afraid of me. I'm not bad. Flashback buried and he was still in his thoughts. He didn't feel anything about Jungkook. He got enough. He fell in love with the boy and he didn't care about anyone because he made up his mind of marrying boy and he had so much power and friends Jungkook couldn't stop him. He shouldn't show me how he made a mistake and now he had to leave her, he said. 1 month ago everything was going well but Ryan's condition was not good. She was laying staring at the wall. He entered and looked at her. He saw her after seeing her in that condition. He walked towards her and she looked at him. Let's go. He said she was about to say anything but she couldn't have the stamina to walk, so he picked her up and walked her towards the balcony. Hongsu face fell after seeing her. He was watching them on the screen in his heart went out and waited over the right. I'm very happy. The priest cast his head and walked out while burning in jealousy and anger. After a month, Valen became better and was waiting for holding her. Sanji was smiling but holding her small and she kissed his hand. She didn't notice in just a few minutes that our family got destroyed. Was suddenly her smiled as she heard the day was the first time she got in the mansion. Silver shivers ran down her smile. She was hiding in the one of the and the voice of and didn't decrease. It was increased. Suddenly she felt like someone entered the room and her body got shivers. She was trying to calm him. Her son was sleeping but suddenly someone again and he woke up and started crying. She was trying to calm him down but Hongsu opened the door and so you are here. He walked up with me even though she didn't want to go but forced and dragged her with me. When from her husband saw her, the maids were looking at the son. They couldn't do anything against him. They looked down as soon as they came. He created outside and threw in the door as he was trying to kick him. He banged the door on her face and sat down. Jungkook was presenting the project in his cell phone. The secretary was holding with his mindful was calling the cause as he didn't pick up the call in between the projects. Suddenly the main Sam called phone rang and it was Mr. Joy was calling. Jungkook got worried and Mr. Joy never called him between projects. He picked up the call. Jungkook and then he told him. While on the other end, they threw on the floor as she was crying. They locked the door and she got up to try to open the door. Her hands were shivering. Her fear was eating her. She was so worried about her son more than anyone. She believed that she started crying loudly. She couldn't know what the rest was just happened. She believed that Jungkook would save her, but she didn't know Jungkook didn't have the same power as him. Hongsu became so powerful. He entered the mansion so many and unconsciously walked in the mansion and were looking at it. They standing there in fear. They still a bit, how can this happen? He whispered to himself and whispered. He looked at the chaos. He looked at it expansion with him pause. He came with a lot of words but didn't do anything against Hongsu. No, his guards brought Jungkook in front of a youngster. Jungkook was trying to push them but now so baby like you are the main character. You are in my mansion. You can't do anything against me because I am your wife's enemy. How dare you touch us? Stop talking on him. Well, I can take everything and make it in front of you. You know what? You are fake. You don't have any power. You are nothing. I don't understand why you show your a cheap attitude. You can't even defeat me. Smart. I'm not powerful as you because I can't destroy papers of their families. You hurt them. 1 week later, Jungkook was in so much bad condition. He was throwing up. The way his father was trying to save them, but all the big parties were with the also they were trying to defend us. Mr. Joy felt helpless because at once he was the most powerful. Now he couldn't even protect his son and his family. His father went to many big names, but they all were with him. He entered and looked at him while smiling. You are looking good in. Jungkook looked at him and his eyes at the same height as before. Jungkook sat and noted his scars to touch Jungkook on the chair. Even after that much pressure, he still tried to fight with them. They tied him on the chair and from the other room they brought Ryan. Look how happy he is with me. He likes his stepfather. Well, I ever did for both of you. But I doing stuff because I'm your enemy, not him. Well, I know he's not my enemy, but you have to choose your son. Why are you doing this? I'm ready to say everything. Please don't do this. I'm just my now. I must pass and don't need I. Your apology. I remember everything when you insulted me. My sister, I remember that him. When you asked him to throw me out of the party in between so many people, you haven't apologized. Then why suddenly do you think I'm mad? Her heartbeat was so fast that Jungkook was pointing at her son. Her tears started falling as she didn't want to lose her son and they both didn't have any choice. She knew that after he would also to Jungkook save Juni. He looked at her and Jungkook smiled. Have you lost your mind? I can't review it. Save him, save Jun and go from here. No, I can't do what I care about myself. Well, he wasn't ready to leave but she made up her mind. She knew that she knew she would. So she agreed to leave Jungkook, but he wasn't understanding. Michelle, he brought the papers and handed them and she grabbed them and looked at Jungkook. She was stopping her from his eyes, but she didn't want to lose her son and him, so she grabbed the pen. Jungkook pointed at the Jungkook's and looked at her. She looked down and her hands were shivering. She didn't want to look at but she signed the papers and Jungkook. When he grabbed the pen and broke into tears, he never thought that he loved her so much but never told her he was running away. Tears were finally divorced her. They both left each other. Now say this to each other. I love you. I don't have any listening. We are strangers to each other. I love you. His guards grabbed Jungkook and dragged him outside while one was sitting there helplessly. He was about to touch her face, but she turned away. You can't do anything now. Let's get married. They handed her son and Jungkook and threw him in front of the mansion and put his son on the floor. He started crying and Mrs. Joy came out of the mansion and towards them. Mrs. Joy was still out to save them, but he didn't know that Jungkook came back. Mrs. Joy grabbed him. While on the other hand, prepare her for Amy. She needs to gain her beauty. We can take care of her. She must be heartbroken now, but she will change. Do everything you want now because before marrying her, do something more. After 6 months, I came back a married girl. He was about saying this to maids and guards. 1 month later, Mr. Shah was looking at his son when he was in coma. He didn't open his eyes after that day. Mrs. was sad and were looking at Jungkook. We need to bring one back. He reversed her. She got shocked, but yeah, we can't do that. That was towards them to son, then they did. Manami, you have no understanding, she's in front of his face. How can she do that? Youngster pressured him and her. She won't come back and I can't do anything against him now. I hope my son will wake up. The servants just stared at their son in grief. They were so heartbroken. After 2 months, man was sitting in front of the mirror, was staring at herself. The maids were trying to get her ready. She started to hate herself. She started to stop speaking. She lived in the room, staring at the ceiling about him and her son. She didn't even know he was in and she got up. After a few months later, Hongsu came back and was ready to marry her. She was standing in a mannequin and looking so beautiful. Her face for her. He came and looked at her while looking so beautiful. I'm ready to become your husband. As it is my wish, she didn't smile and wanted to punch him. Now they were standing in front of each other. She didn't want to marry him, but she couldn't do anything as they both were married. Hongsu was so happy as they both looked at the kids. Everyone was happy, smiling, expected. She was controlling her tears. In the room, one was standing while her heartbeat was so fast and her body was getting chills. He came towards her and hugged her from behind, but she yanked his hand and stabbed back his face. Well, I'm your husband. Why are you doing this, my love? I love you so much, but I can't do. I don't care because I only want my love will make you fall in love with me, he said by pulling her towards him. While on the other hand, Jungkook was sitting at the ceiling as he didn't remember anything. His mind was totally awake of coma, but he didn't recognize anything all the time. He just said that something he did. He didn't know she got magic glasses and he could feel his heart was heavy. He could feel the stress like he needed to go somewhere. 1 month later, Ayungsi was pulling him towards him and she was getting uncomfortable. He came to meet his family. They were sitting by stealing I wasn't letting her go. Her family came out and one could shock to see this. His sister was feeling his childhood best friend. They walked in streets good that Navani is not alone. She noted and small one's heart was no happy. She was a fake smile. They all sat down while he was holding one hand while thinking she would run at him. They had a dinner. His family was so kind. Not like him, she felt good after so much. After once one was standing with her, so she came to the business party. She was feeling fear. He was holding her. She was very uncomfortable. Suddenly she looked at the side and Jungkook was standing there. She got shocked after seeing a detailed look at her. She stared at him, but he wanted to look at him. And finally, a few minutes later, he looked at her, but his reaction was normal. One thought that she was looking into a stranger's eyes. He wasn't the same. He turned his I look at that man, exams, though she whispered while looking at Jungkook. Sorry, why ask him or not? No, I mean, he doesn't look like a good man, but what's wrong with try? No, he will hurt you. One was trying her best not to let her around Jungkook. Okay, one I have to sign again because she didn't let her do that. 1 month later, Van was thinking about Jungkook, but thinking, sitting her with Jungkook's reaction broke her heart. She wanted him to save her friend. He wanted Jungkook to come back. Jungkook looked up and is coming with the man. She fell in love with him. Really, he noted and then planning ended. Yes, do you know him? Of course, you forget me, Jungkook. Well, I use my memory according to my present. Don't know what to do. I have friends. Are you my good friends? Yes, very good friends. One heart dropped after singing.